pot, low heat, because as we've done with curry dishes before, and you know, this technically could be called curry stew because I'm using leftover stewed pork in here. And if you've seen any of my curry stew video, you'll see exactly, well, the same sort of flavor profile, some garlic. So olive oil, onion, garlic, low heat. We're just going to let that go for about 3 minutes. And as that happens in there, boom, look who's back, the electric pepper mill. Yeah, lazy man Chris skanking again. Anyhow, fresh ground black pepper in there. Hit that, another little boom boom, like so, and let that go. Yeah, 3 minutes, nothing more. We ain't trying to boom anything. Just pull out all the nice flavors from that onion and garlic and thing. Give that another little stir. I'm starting to see little tiny little brown edges on the side of the onion and the garlic. So here's where we're gonna rock the star, well, one of the stars of the show, and that is curry powder, a tablespoon and a half of that curry powder. Move that around. We want that into that hot oil there just to sort of wet toast the curry, and that's going to bring out all the flavors of all the spices which makes up a good curry powder. The other thing I want to hit inside there with is a bit of what we call geera, just a tiny bit more. Roasted cumin, ground roasted cumin, that's going in there as well too, and that's just going to be delightful in this dish here. Now remember, don't go too heavy with the curry. You know, some people will be like, oh gosh, Chris, we needed more green. Where did I get green from? But anyhow, don't go too heavy with the curry because we're trying to get that curry flavor along with the flavors of that stewed pork. And that stewed pork is compliments of my mom. She brought that down for me over the weekend there, so I might have it in the fridge, and I know she usually rocks a lot of nice ginger and all those nice flavors in there, so it's all about balance, yeah? The kitchen, the house, the neighbors, everybody getting that delightful smell of that curry happening. I was trying to get a little bit of stickage. Is that even a word? It's starting to stick a little bit to the bottom of the pot. We're not trying to burn this curry. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to add some water in here. And I noticed the color change, it clumped together. We're going to hit it a bit of water. And the water here is to cook out the rawness of the curry. If you don't do this step here, in my humble opinion, yeah, you're missing out a key step, man. Stop doing that. Your family deserves better. And it won't take long. All you will need to do now is crank up that heat to medium high. All this while it was on low. We're trying to burn off that liquid now and intensify the flavor of those spices. So we wet toasted, we cooked out the rawness, and now it's all about intensity. So we're trying to, just do nice things in this pot here today, lighting. Now, depending on how spicy you want it, you can adjust the amount of heat you put in there. And when I say heat, I'm not talking about spice heat, but pepper heat. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bird's eye chili or pepper. We call them bird pepper in the Caribbean. And you notice they're whole, but later on I will break them. If you're not so into the heat, you don't have to break it. You can just leave them whole, and that's just going to give it some flavor without the raw heat. Scotch bonnet pepper, habanero, whatever you want to use. I'm going to say, my GT people, if you want to toss in some wiri peppers in there, you can certainly do that. Now, I'm going to crank up my heat all the way up to high now. And you notice, you can see elements of the oil that we started off with. I don't know if you guys can see that. Now, that is the sort of indicator it is time to introduce the string beans to the pot. As you add it to the pot, you want to hit it, stir to sort of coat each bean with the flavors of that curry base that we created here. I think I did a pretty good job there. We're going to hit it with salt, and I like using sea salt in all of my meals. Whatever salt you guys like using, I mean to say rock what you have. If sea salt is not your thing or you don't have it, all you have is just plain old table salt. Nothing wrong with that. That is what mommy used to use, and mommy's food just come out best. Right? Remember, the heat is on high. Water. And the water is to help cook this down, make it nice and tender. And I know you're wondering, well, Chris, where is that stew pork you keep talking about? Ah, yeah, you have to hold on. Patience is a virtue. Oh gosh, Padawan, why you getting on so? Hey, On that high heat, it will come up to boil pretty quickly. Full list of ingredients will be listed down below. The recipe for the stewed pork can be found on CaribbeanPot.com. We've got coconut cream. I got just a little bit more. About 2 or 3 tablespoons of coconut cream. That's gonna mellow out, it's gonna melt, and it's gonna tie everything together with that rich Caribbean niceness we know that coconut can bring. And coconut and curry go hand in hand, they're like brother and sister. So what I'm gonna do here, ladies and gentlemen, is turn my heat down to low, let that simmer, put the lid on, and let that cook for about 15 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes, and here's where we're going to start thinking about personalizations. There's still quite a bit of liquid here. The first personalization is how tender you like your string beans. I like it with just a little tiny bit of crunch. I don't like it falling apart. And the sort of second one is, and you would have seen me, I've already broken one of the bird's eye pepper. Break them or remove them, one or the other. Or leave them in there whole, but try not to break them if you're worried about the spice level. The other thing we're going to try to do now is at some point we're going to taste it for salt and adjust the salt as well too. So those are the 3 sort of personalizations. I'm going to let this continue cooking, but it is time to add the stewed pork, and that is a Caribbean style stewed pork. Lots of ginger, lots of herbs, a lot of spices and stuff like that in there, and that is what we call brown stew. Some people call it brown stew. I don't call it brown stew. I call it stewed pork. And the reason why I like adding it here is because I want that liquid in the pot there to combine with the pieces of that pork, pull in all that ginger into that curry, into the coconut milk and everything else. And this is what happened here. And here's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to stretch this for even more people, you can slam a few potatoes in here. Just cut it up almost the same size as the pork here, and you would add it together when you were adding the string beans to the pot. I'm going to put my lid back on there. There's a 4th personalization, and the 4th personalization is how dry you want this. If you want a little gravy, well, of course, you're going to cook it down and you're going to leave some gravy. Some people like it what we call fry dry. You burn off all that liquid, but for me, we'll decide later on. Boom, lid on, let that continue cooking. Yeah, I cranked up the heat a bit to burn off the liquid. And as you know, as I mentioned earlier, there's several ways to personalize this. How tender you want it. This is perfect for me. Taste it for salt, adjust it, how much liquid you have at the bottom there. I'm going to rock this with some steamed rice, so I need a little bit of liquid. I like to finish it off with some tomato, totally optional. It brightens up the dish, plus the acidity in there. And we've talked about this time and time again, that acidity is going to help balance all the flavors, especially when it comes to curry. Sup, soldiers? Listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me. Email address down here. I'm trying to tell people the email address, then Butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you all here in the kitchen with me. A leftover special curry string beans, coconut curry string beans with leftover stewed pork. Remember, if you want to stretch this for more people, add some potatoes in there. Irie?